Hi everybody, this is Tina with Rehatch Designs. Hope everybody's doing well. I thought I would get back with you and we could work a little bit more on our easy beginner winter journals. I thought today what we would do is go ahead and look at what I do when I sew in my signatures, and go ahead and sew in the signature and kind of finish up the cover, and just kind of see how far we get with that. And I just thought that I'm going to kind of use this series as kind of a back to basics for the beginners, because I do realize that I have a lot of new people and they are beginner junk journal makers, and I thought, why not kind of go through that. And also too, it's kind of an easy way to make a journal if you're not wanting to make a huge journal, and you know, it kind of shows you the process that I go through. I like to make journals like this because sometimes I don't want to make a 4 or 5 signature journal and do all that kind of stuff. It's kind of easy, it's fun, and a lot of times if you're making a journal for something, you don't need a big giant journal like that. Okay, so anyway, let's get back to what I was thinking about doing here. I have this little journal that I want to work on today. I'm not going to do both of them live or anything. I'm just going to do the one because it's going to be the same steps on both. So we have our little one signature journal, and it's not going to be that little when we get done, because I am going to add up to 20 pages, which technically makes it, let's see, 20, 40, and then, yeah, so that'll be, let's see, 20 pages times 2 is 40, and then 40 and 40 will be 80, so that'll be quite a few pages. So for a one signature journal, and I think it'll be stuffed by the time we get done. So I think that's what I'm getting at, is that it's going to be a full-size journal, plenty of room in it. I'm making this one more like a writing journal, actually both of them. It's going to be decorated, but it's not going to have you know, tons of stuff all over it. I mean, as far as decorating, I'm clipping my little mic on here so it doesn't go falling. Okay, so let's get right to it, because I want to have time to try and do some stuff with it. Okay, so I am using mainly the sheets from A Winter's Tale, because I am going to do these kind of separate. And the first thing that I do when I'm getting my pages ready is I cut them all down to size. And I have, here's my journal, and if I fold one of these in half, and it should be right about the right size that fits in here. And so it's going to get sewn in right here because it's one signature, and you want about a 1/4 inch here and maybe here, and it will have that. It'll be perfect. So that's really the perfect size. Okay, so we've cut all of our pages to fit in the journal. So now all we're going to do is I'm going to fold them all in half, and then we are going to sort how we want them in the journal. Let me move these aside here. And I like to kind of mix it up a little bit. I'm not going to have that many really kind of strange, weird things added to this, because I am trying to make this something that a beginner could do. But I am going to add a few envelopes and things like that, because I want to show people how easy it is to put that kind of stuff in your journal. and it gives it a varied look as far as the types of papers. And I'm adding coffee paper, and I'm adding different types of coffee paper. Some's a little bit more grungy than the other. As I said, I'm going to have a lot of writing room in these journals because I want them to be kind of more of a writing journal. You can see, like, this is a paper that I have that's kind of a bluish purple color, which I think will look really good with that. And then I have a grungy paper, which I love this paper. And I'm going to put that in there along with the other coffee dyed papers. All told, there'll probably be, I think, about 23 different pages in there. So, as I said, it'll be a good size one signature journal. And I'm going to put that like this. And I don't necessarily decide which side's going to face out or in until I start putting my journal together. But I do fold them in half. And I usually do use my bone folder because I want a nice good crease. If you are going to sew on your signature, on your pages, like if you were going to sew on your pockets, or you're going to sew trim or lace or whatever on there, you would want to do that before you sew your journal together, because it would be really hard to do it after. Not impossible, but hard. If you're going to stamp on it, paint on it, or do any of that, you probably would be easier to do all of that prior to putting your journal together, and that's usually how I do it. Excuse me. But what I also do is I will a lot of times make a journal like this, and I'll put it all together, and then I will add things to it later. And I think for a very new person that's new, sometimes it's easier because they can see everything in the journal and they can decide where they want to put things. And you can do it that way and make things look like they're sewn in. And it's a little bit easier, I think, for maybe new people to do it that way. So we're going to go ahead and do it that way just because I think it will be a little bit easier for some people. What you're going to find is some of my pages are a little bigger than the others, taller than the other, and that's okay. I actually like it that way. And I'm going to go ahead and separate my pages out. And what I'm doing is I'm taking all of my digital pages, I'm putting them separate, and then I'm going to put these other pages, and I think I was going to put another one of these. I think this one I needed to cut down. And this is just a piece of vellum. I don't know if I cut that down, or I don't think I did. I cut these a little bit just because my pages were a little smaller because I used my printer that does not print borderless, so I had to cut them down a little bit, which I knew I was going to do when I made my journal. So they are a little bit smaller than your normal 8.5 by 11 borderless, and that's okay because it actually fits the size of the journal better. It gives me that 1/4 inch that I want, so I had to cut all these pages down a little bit, and that's okay. Alright, so I'm going to keep that there. That's kind of my specialty pages. And then I have a few other things I'm going to put in there. I like to add a few other things to my journal to make them interesting. This is just a white paper bag that's been coffee dyed, and I want to cut off a portion of this just this part. I'm gonna do this with my pinking shears because I want it to have that jagged edge, and I'm just using the line that's already there. So I'm going to use that. And when I put it in my journal, I'm going to probably go ahead and glue the inside of this to make it not open, you know, as big. But for right now, to put it in the actual journal, all I really need to do is cut that and then use my bone folder. I've got this piece of paper, this brown paper, and I like that, so I'm going to use that. I have this envelope that I'm going to use, and it's been coffee dyed, and I'm going to put it in and put it here, and this way you can attach something to this page. And I'm going to do this envelope. So I'm going to do those, and these are my other pieces. They do two things. They add pockets, but at the same time what they do is they also add interest. And I'm going to go ahead and cut these because the opening on these is going to be on this edge. And you can certainly do this after you have it in the journal, but it's easier to do it before, because I will be covering this portion right here, and then the pocket will be there. I will put something on here. You can do it now if you wanted to, but I usually don't. I usually do it later. And I'm going to cut this one. Okay. So those are my other odd pieces that I'm going to have. And the other thing I'm going to do is I am going to add an envelope to the middle of the signature. Okay, so I'm going to cut this out because I want to have this in the middle of my signature, and I want to show people how you do that and how easy it is. That way they know how to do it when they are doing their journal. And I do realize that this is probably easy for a lot of people that have been doing this for a while, but these are things that a lot of new people may not know how to do. I go on the little Facebook groups and I look at the comments a lot of times, and especially like the beginners Facebook groups and stuff, and the tutorial groups and things, and I see questions there, and I realize that sometimes I think what some of us junk journalers do is we kind of talk about things in ways where we assume that people actually know what we're talking about because it's kind of like common knowledge. But it's not common knowledge to you. If you're coming to this new, you don't know what people are talking about. You know, it's all you know, Greek. So I'm kind of coming at this in a way that I'm thinking new people might benefit. And so it may sound like it's a little simplistic sometimes, but you know, I'm just wanting to make sure that I'm kind of explaining it in a way that a new person will understand. And for the rest of you that have been around, you can just kind of watch my process. I mean, I like to watch people do things even if I know how to do it. And it's kind of funny because even though it's like, oh, I've seen this a million times, sometimes I'll watch something, I'll still learn something new, and I've seen it done a bunch. And they might do something just a little bit different than how I do it, or have a good idea of how to do something that maybe might make things easier, or say or do something that I never knew, and it's always beneficial. So anyway, Fold that. Fold that. And I'm going to fold that. Make sure I get that straight. So anyway, I thought I would go through this, even though I've done it before. But the thing is that these are things I have to do anyway. So I figured I might as well do them on camera, right? And bring everybody along. So I'm going to go ahead and ink this. And I would ink any pages or anything that you want to ink. Like if you wanted to ink all these pages, you could. I'm not going to be doing that. But if you, let's say you wanted to go and ink all these pages, you would, now would be a great time to do it, because it sure would be way easier than doing it, you know, later. I'm going to ink this one, but I'm probably not going to ink all these. But you certainly could do that, and it just would be way easier than doing it later, okay? Now this, you almost kind of have to do it beforehand. I'm not saying it's not impossible to do it later, but this certainly will be a lot easier. This is going to go in the middle of our signature, and I just want to show people how you do this so that in case they don't. I remember the first time I saw it, I went, wow. So that's how, because I remember looking at it going, how did they do that? And it's so easy, but yet if you haven't seen somebody do it, you're not going to necessarily know how to do it. So, and that's how that will go. Or maybe it'll go like this. I don't know. I think I like it that way better. Okay, so anyway, now what I'm going to do is I am going to decide how I want my pages. So I usually just go through, and it's just really, I don't know, a matter of choice. You just pick a page and start, and let's see what I want to start with. I don't know. I think this is kind of cool. We'll start with that maybe, okay? So let's say this is my first page. My next page I want to vary probably. So I might want to do that. And then let's just say I want to put this page there. This is just some rice paper in there. Let's put that there. And maybe, I don't know. We could take, we put that. We could put one of these envelopes in there, okay? And see, now on this, what you're doing is you're putting this flap on one side and this there, and later we're going to attach something here. We could put a whole page on there, we could put another envelope, and then we will cover this part, and then that will be another whole, you know, page. Let me make sure I'm still recording here, because I did this before, and you know what was happening is that it just stopped recording. Okay, so that's going to go there. Let's pick another page to put on here. What was this one? I try not to duplicate the what I'm doing. I'm also making sure that I like how it looks next to the other page. Like maybe I could put that there. And then, let's see, I don't know, maybe another one of these. And let's see, I can put another page. I don't want to put that one on there because it looks very similar to that one. I have that. I may put that in there. Okay. And then here, I may just put this. Okay, and then I might want to put this. And then I may want to put, oh, something like this bag. Okay. Let's just say I want to put, what did I have in the last one? And that, and let's see what else we have in here. I try and vary the looks of it, you know, the different pages as much as I can. Put that there. Then here, we may want to put that. That'd look good there, I think. Right? And then maybe put that there, or let's see what other one I want to put. That there. What was in the front of that? Oop, I don't want to put two of those in a row. So maybe I'd put that there. Oh, that looks good. I like that. And maybe I put that there, right? So I could put this here. That goes right there, right? And then let's see. How about if I put that there? Let's see what other ones I have in there. Yeah, and then I'll put this here. Okay. And then I want to put, what do I want to put? Maybe I want to put, I don't know if I want to put, oh, that's not an envelope. I could put that there. Maybe I'll put, well, this is the front of that. And that's that. I could put that there. That would look good. And then I could put that there. And that goes that way. And then I probably want to put that. I don't want to do that because I need to have more separation in there. What is this one? Okay, that's going to be there. I'm thinking about what's going to be in the middle, and I want to make sure that I'm not putting the same paper next to that. So maybe I have to move this over here. Okay, that over here. And even when I do this like that, I tend to go back and revisit it because I may, you know, put it all together and go, I don't like that there, or, you know, something like that. Okay, I like that. I still have, okay, that piece can go there. All right, I think we're good. All right, now what I do is I just kind of take my pages, and this is a preliminary thing, okay? So I go through and I look and I go, okay, that looks good. That looks okay. You might want to move that up. Do I like that there? That looks okay. Do I like that there? And do I like that there? Do I like that? I do. That there. I like that, how that looks. It's just kind of like what I'm doing is I'm just saying, do I like that page next to that page? Because that's how it's going to, you know, that's how it's going to look. So I like those two next to each other. I like that and that. I like that. I like how that looks. Do I like how that looks? So far, I think I do. Do I like how that and that look? I think I do. I think I like that. Well, I actually like pretty much how I put things in there, so I think I'm going to leave it like that. Okay, so the middle envelope that we cut out, the way you put that in is you just put it in as an envelope that's not put together. So that will get sewn in right here, and then we'll put it together after, okay? So I will show you how you do that. first what I do is I just kind of get them all kind of together, and I go like that, and yes, that gets all that other stuff all the way to the bottom, but we move it around. And then I go and I take all the stuff that I like this that I want toward the middle, and I just kind of place it where I want it. I go back through, and as I do this, I'm also making sure that nothing's upside down, okay, because I have put plenty of things in upside down. And that's not the end of the world. You just basically, when that happens, you just, you know, take your journal, you just undo it and redo it, especially when you're doing a one signature journal. It's not a big deal. But it does happen, and I try to avoid it if I can help it. And well, this is my opportunity now. I just kind of check that, and sometimes even after you check it, you'll still do it. So just kind of make sure you go through, and also to make sure things aren't crooked. Like, see, this is wanting to go in there crooked, so I'm going to have to work with that. And maybe I just folded it crooked too, so right, okay, so there we go. And I'm just basically, and all my pages are not cut evenly, and that's okay with me. I have no issue with that. In fact, I like that. And a lot of times I do journals where I tear the pages, but I was trying to make this journal fairly easy and not super complicated, so that the people could just see how easy it is to put this journal together. All right. Okay. So I think that's good. And I'm going to look again as I have it held up like this. And I make sure all my pages are right side up. I make sure all of my shorter pages are where I want them. They don't necessarily have to be in the middle. They can be toward the top or the bottom. And so that's not a big deal. I mean, they can be however you want them. So let's see. That has to come down a little bit. All right. Yeah, that looks pretty good. All right, I like everything where it's at. So what I'm going to do now is I have all of my things that I use to, I have my wax thread, and I'm using this darker color because it really does match my leather look, okay? Even though, guess what, guys, we're going to cover this in the end, so it won't matter, but that's why I'm using it. I have in here, I have a long needle, and these things didn't all come together. They're just what I keep in that pouch. This actually came in a little Weir Memories, little cradle thing to do your signatures, but I find it actually cumbersome. Don't really like it. Some people may. Just not my thing. But anyway, I keep it in here because this is basically what I use. I do have all different colors of wax thread. It just kind of came with the little kit that I bought. I mainly use beige, but I have these large paper clips that I use, 4 of them, and I love using these because it goes far down on the page. It holds things in. It holds the short pieces in there. I have another paper clip that I use, and I'll show you how I do that. Okay. When you have one signature, you do not have to make a template because you're only having to get that one signature in there. You can if you want to. I don't. I'm going to show you how I do it and how it's pretty easy, but there's no reason to make a template so that you have all 3 signatures the same. So I just kind of get everything all lined up the way I want it. as I said, make sure everything's in the way that they need to be. And I will try and get these, I fold them as much as I can when I'm putting these together, because that kind of keeps your pages tight, and you want it tight in this portion here because that is what's going to pull your papers in. And this is why I like the paper clips, because what they do is they hold your papers, like those short papers in there, they hold them in place. And I'll put one on one side and I'll push down, and I kind of fold it when I put these in there. And I kind of scooch it down and kind of have it folded when I put the paper clip on, and I put the long side on the inside because that will hold more down. And then I will go back on the other side that I had just paper clipped and smush it down again. Kind of keep it folded. Kind of get it. So you might even take your bone folder and just make sure, you're trying to make sure this is going down as far as you can get it to do. And hold it in this shape as much as you can, and then put your paper clip on again. Okay, and what that does is that it gets it as close in here as you can. You're trying to smush that in there as much as you can. I may do it one more time on this side. Okay, just to get it in there as far as you can. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and I am going to put my other sides in as I'm keep it folded, because that actually keeps it down. And it's really not that hard when you have just 10 pages in a signature or whatever, but when you start getting to 20 pages in a signature, it's really important that you get this pushed down as much as you can, okay? Because that will pull all these pages in tight. If you look, these pages in the middle are higher than those. Now that will tighten up quite a bit after you sew in your signature, but it'll always be higher in the middle. Some people cut that, make it even. I don't. You don't really even notice it when you're done. If it bothers you, you can, but I don't do that. Okay, and so now that I've got my everything where I want it, let's see, that didn't even get in there. I'll put that in there. Doesn't really matter, but okay, so now this is my signature, and I've got all my pages the way I want them. And now I'm going to take my cover, because this is one signature, and I'm going to kind of place it where I think I'm going to want this. And really what I look for, and the way I measured on this, is that I want approximately about 1/4 inch on top, 1/4 inch on the bottom, and 1/4 inch on the side. And that's kind of what I think I'm going to end up with. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect, but that's about, I'm going to have a little bit more on this end. But when this gets in there, some of these pages, when we close it, will only be about 1/4 inch. And that's because of the way that the middle pages will stick out a little bit more, but it's about right. Okay, so I have it kind of placed where I want it. Okay, now at this point you can either take these off and clip them on there, or what you can do is get some other clips, which I often do, okay, just to kind of hold this in place so it doesn't move while you're working with it. Okay, so now you've got your whole thing there, and I got to make sure I put it in right. Make sure you put your signature in right side up, not upside down, because I have done that. And this looks pretty right side up to me. Okay, and I have it in the spot that I want it. Okay, that's the big thing. So I have my 1/4 inch here, my 1/4 inch there, and my room there. And at this point you can't really change this because it is what it is, but as far as your signature goes, you can go up, you can move it up, or you can move it that way depending upon how much room you want on each side. Okay, I like to have it kind of even, and I'm taking my bone folder and just kind of smushing this down, okay, to make sure it's in there as far as I can get it. Make sure that goes down as far as I can. the further you have your paper clip down there, the more it's going to hold it toward the middle, okay? And now I have this on there, and that's holding these in place, okay? Now what I do is I kind of eyeball it, or you can measure it. Let's just say I measure it for the sake of, where's my ruler? Maybe I won't measure it if I can't find my ruler. Huh. Well, let's see here. I've got my old one. I guess I won't measure it. But let's just say you eyeball it, and what you want to do is you want to kind of find the middle, okay? And let's just put a dot in the middle, and I'm eyeballing it. It does not have to be perfect, okay? And then I want to put it in about 1.5 inches. Probably put this one right here, and put this about right here, okay? So that's where I'm putting my 3 holes, okay? I doubt that this is perfect, but if you wanted to, you can measure the middle and then measure the exact from each side, but it's not going to matter. First off, you're not going to see these strings when we're done, but secondly, it's not going to really matter that much when we get done with this, okay? Let me go ahead and move this right here. All right, get that out of the way. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I have my cover here, and I have that there. I'm going to check again to make sure everything looks right. Let's see. I don't know if that looks good on the bottom. Okay. And oh, I didn't tell you. I did make sure when I was doing this that I had this exactly folded in half, and I made a crease, okay? So that's my crease. So I don't want anybody to think I didn't do that ahead of time. And you should do that too. So that is where we're going to punch this hole in. Now what I do is I hold this kind of closed when I do this. So here's my hole, and I'm going to line this up, but I'm not going to punch my hole until I kind of hold it kind of shut, okay? So I'm lining my hole up, and then I'm going to kind of close it, and then that's when I'm going to punch my hole. And the reason I'm doing that is because the more you hold it in that V shape, the better it's going to. And watch out you don't punch your hands, especially when you're doing this, because now a lot of people use a cradle and it holds it in the cradle, and then it kind of keeps it together. I don't do that. I don't find it's necessary, but if you're going to do it the way I'm doing it, just don't punch your hand. The other thing you can do is you can kind of hold, I have this little foam thing, and you can hold it down like that, and then that way it's not punching into your hands. I don't need this. Okay. I'm not going to say that I have punched holes in my fingers before. But anyway, so that's how I put my middle hole in. And when you hold it shut like that, or have it in a V, or have it in a cradle, what it does is it makes sure it doesn't go off to the side, okay? Because when you open it up, it moves around, okay? So that's our middle hole, and now I'm going to do one of the other holes. So I'm going to just line it up and then shut it, basically. I just don't, once I have it lined up, I don't even really need to look at to where it's going, but I'm just holding it, okay? And I'm kind of wiggling it, and it goes through, and you can see it's just right on that line then if I hold it shut. If I left it open, it would probably go here or there, okay? And the trick is you're trying to get it right all lined up perfectly, okay? And that's so your signature isn't in there crooked, your pages aren't in there crooked. So I'm going to do that again with the last one. I'm going to line up my thing, I'm going to hold it shut. You can hold it with your hand. You can just go like this and just put it through. Now there's a lot, I'm doing a lot of pages for one signature, okay? Normally I would do like 10 pages and I've got 20 plus, okay? And I only do that usually when I'm doing only one signature. And I only do that if I'm doing only one signature, if I'm going to not decorate a lot of those pages, if I'm not going to put heavy embellishments or pockets and things like that on all of them, okay? Because otherwise it'll be too bulky. Okay, so now I've got this long needle. I like using a long needle. It's kind of blunt on the end, but it's still kind of pointy. If I wanted to, I could have just done all of this with the needle. And I do that, but I thought for everyone's sake that's watching, that's new, it's probably easier to watch. Okay, I make it 3 lengths, 1, 2 of the height of my book. Now, if you want to have long danglies that you are going to add beads or something to, then you would make it probably 4, so you have enough to work with. Okay, so I do that, and on the long side, I take just a regular paper clip. This is a jumbo one, but you could use a regular one. And I just tie this on, and I don't tie a knot, I just do it one time like that. And that's just so that it won't slide through. It just helps me, and I do it, and you can hold it or you can make it long and not go, but I find that it works really well. So now what I do is I keep everything clipped together, because that keeps it from moving around and it makes it easier for you to do this. So I keep it all clipped together, and I'm going to kind of keep it in a V like this and do basically the same thing I did when I punched the holes. And I'm going to kind of hold it shut, and it will go in a lot easier that way than if you're trying to do it flat or hold it up or whatever. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and push that through. I go through the middle, and this is why I have this on there. If you were to pull it and it accidentally goes through, then you got to thread it again, okay? So now I'm going to take, now that I've done the middle, I can either do the top or the bottom. It makes no difference which one you do. You don't have to do the top first or the bottom first, because your journal does not know what the top or the bottom is. They both work exactly the same. So I am going to keep this at a V just like we did, but instead of starting on the inside, I'm starting on the outside. Okay, and I'm going to go straight in. I can tell there's going to be a problem, maybe, which is a good thing, because I think, you know, if any of the pages move a little or you don't have it lined up, that's a little tiny hole that you're trying to get it back through there. It can cause you to, yeah, see, it moved a little. That's what happened. So I'm going to have to push that down and get that in. There we go. All right, so now that I have it through, what is that, the top? That's the bottom. Now I'm going to go to, you just go opposite. If you start at the top, then you go to the bottom. If you start at the bottom, you go to the top. Doesn't matter which one you do first, you just have to do the second one opposite, or third one. Okay, so now that I'm inside the journal again, I am going to take it, this is at the bottom, or it could be the top, it doesn't matter. You're going to take it and go all the way back up to the top hole. And again, we're going to kind of fold it, and that should help you get it go through a lot easier. Okay, so now that we've done that, we're going to do the one in the middle. The very last one you go through is going to be in the middle. Now, the thing, it's the trickiest, but it's not that bad, okay? You're going to try and get this through that hole, and do not pierce your thread that you already have in there. And the reason being is if you pierce that thread, then you can't tighten it correctly. So if you ever see people and they'll have a loose journal, it's because they pierced that thread and they couldn't tighten it, okay? So now if you look, okay, did I pierce it? Yeah, I did pierce it. Okay, so I'm going to take it back out All right, and make sure I do not pierce that thread. So I'm hoping you guys can see that. So my needle is right next to the other thread. If it were going through that thread, I would pull it back out and make sure it's not. Because if it pierces the thread that you already have in there again, you will not be able to tighten it correctly. And that is why you see loose journals, because somebody did it that way. Okay, now we can take everything off, all our paper clips, all our other clips, clips, okay? All right, and see this one right here, watch. Now if I wanted this to be longer, I could just pull on this and it would make it longer. I don't really need that because I'm going to be tying this off, okay? All right, so I'm going to cut this pretty much the same size as the other, okay? And I save all these, I use them for stuff later, I'll show you at some point. But so all my clips are off, and I'm looking at this, but I want it tighter than this. I want it, you know, to not be loose in there. The tighter you make it also, these middle pages will cinch in. So we're going to go back over here. Where's my middle one? Can't find my middle. Okay, so I want to make this tighter. So what I'm going to do is I am going to take one of my strings and I'm going to loop it around the other one like that. See, just I'm trying to capture that string, so I've got it in there. Do the same thing over here. It doesn't matter which way you loop it. You can loop it this way or that way, but you just want to make sure that you get it in there. So you have both your strings there. And what I do is I take them opposite ends like that, and I just do that because what it does is it pulls one way and it pulls the other way, and it makes them tighter. It gives you some leverage to make them really tight, because I want a nice tight signature in there, okay? And sometimes it's kind of hard to pull that wax thread because it's slippery, you know. Put it around your finger, just tighten it, and then you should see that it's nice and tight, okay? So then tighten it nice and tight, as tight as you can get it, and then I tie a knot, and then I tie another knot, okay? And if you want to be very, very sure, you can take a little bit of your glue. I have a tiny bit of art glitter glue. I can take a drop right here, just a tiny bit, and let it sit there for a second, and you will have a knot that is never going to come undone. And that wax thread is very strong, so it's not going anywhere. You can make your own wax thread. You can use upholstery thread or several strands of thread, and that works. And use some wax, some beeswax, or maybe even a candle if you want to. I find it very inexpensive, so you know, I don't think I have that one that I bought with me, but you know, you can buy it for very cheap. Okay, so I am going to go ahead, and if you look, here's our envelope that we had in the middle. So all I'm going to do is I am actually going to just put my envelope together now. And I am going to do that just by putting a little bit of glue right here. And a little bit of glue right here. Okay, and then that will put that together. Okay, and we may want to put a closure or something on that later, but that is how you get your envelope in there, okay? So now that we've done that, we have our signature, and you'll see that it did tighten up all these pages, but you're still going to have a little bit of a difference from front to back. You'll see that right there. Some people cut that because they want it to be even. I don't really care. You won't notice it when you're done with the journal. You really won't. especially if you put any kind of trims and stuff like that on there. It happens more with the more pages you put in there. If you have 10 pages, you're not going to notice it as much. If you know, but if you have 20 pages, you'll notice it more. But I account for that when I do my journal, so that you still have the front of your journal not, it's inside, those pages are still inside your journal, okay? So now that we've done that, there's a few things I want to do to this cover and the journal before I call it done, okay? I want to put, even though you really, really honestly can't see that, I could take a little bit of my ink and go over those spots where I put the holes in, and you honestly it'd be hard to figure out where, the strings are if you were worried about that. You barely can tell at all, right? But I kind of want to add some more texture to it. This is just for looks, guys. And I'm going to add a little bit of this material. It's just a cotton duck material. And then I have this other, this is that very vintage ticking that I have. I'm going to add that. And I'm going to just put that on with my 3-in-1 glue. And I am just going to put some right in the middle. So, and when I said that I had a 1-inch spine on this, guys, it's technically not a 1-inch spine because I just basically folded in half. But because this is very pliable and flexible, it is, it's basically as big as you need it to be. It will work that way. Because the spine is this whole area right here, but it's not a set spine like you would on a hardcover. Okay, so I'm just going to put that on, kind of tack it on, and I'll go in and I will add more glue as I need it. Okay, so I'm just going to put that in. And I don't care if it's perfect because I'm not going for that. Okay, and now I'm going to take this, I'm going to put it on, and I will probably I'll have to put more glue on the other piece, but I think I'll put this on this first. That way. I don't want to get glue on the other part. And I used a 3-in-1 on this because I feel like it glues better. So I'm going to put that on. I could spread it, but I'm going to spread it once I get it on there. And I'm just kind of somewhat centering it. I just want you to be able to see the white on there with it. I don't care that it's perfect. Again, I actually like the imperfection, so, and I'm probably going to go back now and I'm going to add a little bit more glue. And this is nothing other than just for looks, okay? This doesn't, it possibly strengthens your spine a little bit because you're adding material to it. But you're not sewing your signatures through it, so I would say that it doesn't do that much. Now if you really wanted to make them really strong, you could have put Tyvek in there. You could have sewn it through the material, but I feel like that this is strong enough that it will stay just fine. When I say you could add a Tyvek, you could have added it in the middle, like right through here. You could have put that in there before we did our journal, okay? Before we sewed it in, if you want to do that on the inside before we sewed it. So I personally don't think you need it on this because I think it's plenty strong. but you could do that if you want to. Or you could have put this material on and then sewn your signatures through it. Those are some of your options. There's actually more than that, but that is something you could do if you're concerned about that. Alright, so I'm going to put that on there, and it does strengthen it, okay, because you're gluing it to your wax thread, and it is going to strengthen it a little bit, but that isn't my main reason for putting it on there. Okay, so I did that, and I like that, and there's going to be more of this ticking in other places eventually. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I want to worry about, do I want a pocket right here? I do have this pocket that we're going to have here, and we do have this pocket here. That's one thing I like using these mailers, because you get this, you know, you can put a big journaling card or whatever, or you can just not do anything. You could actually put some batting in there when you sew it in there, and it would make it a little bit, what do you call it, more quilted. A lot of things you can do with that, okay, but I'm trying to be simple. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to make a pocket and possibly maybe a little tuck spot over here. So what I want to do though is I have that burlap paper, and this is, oh boy, when I run out of this I'm going to really miss it, but this is good because it has the backing on it. It's just this paper backing, and what it will do is it'll reinforce the burlap, and I want to make a pocket, so I think I'm going to just kind of eyeball it and figure out, probably like that, and maybe like that. So I'm just going to cut that, and hopefully I can cut it halfway straight, because I'm not very good at that. Alright, I think I might have cut it a little bit too small. Let's see. No, that's probably about right. I just want it to be just a little pocket right there. I could maybe trim this a tiny, well, let me see. Which side did I cut crooked? So hard to tell. I'm very bad at this. I'm going to cut this a little bit. Yeah, I think that looks a little better. Okay, so I'm going to put that there. And then I think on this side, I want to put, how big is this piece? Is that too, no, it's not big enough. I am going to put, I'll cut this. I want to put like a tuck spot. Cut that. All right, let's see here. It's a little bigger than I want it. You know, I think I'm going to do is I am going to fray this a little bit. Let's see. It's a little hard to fray this because you've got that paper in there, but I want to kind of see if I can get it started and then fray it a little bit just to get some of that paper off on the back, which is not easy to do because it's glued on there. But I have done it before, so I think I can do it again. Okay. Easier said than done, huh? Trying not to poke myself. Try. Okay. Boy. I don't know what I got myself into here. So I don't want the cardboard to show, but I do want it to look frayed. Just a little. I don't like perfection. So I'm going to do that. Get some of that cardboard off of there. do the bottom. Where do I want to cut this? So I'm going to put this here, and I probably want to cut it a little bit on top. Let's see if I can cut that. And then fray that a little bit. I just don't want it to look so perfect. I don't know why. I just have a feeling that it needs to be frayed just a little bit. And all I'm doing is taking this. I think I was out of camera. Is doing that. I do need to make sure we're still filming though, because I'm telling you, I've done this 2 times already, guys, and it just stopped filming. Yeah, okay, good. Alright, so here we go. That's already starting to come loose there. Alright, get some of that cardboard off. There we go. And I don't even care if the cardboard's on there. I just don't want it to look so perfect. There we go. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is put this over here. So I like that. Let's see. Yeah, I like that. Okay. Get that piece off of there. Yeah, I like that. Okay. So that's going to go there, and it's just going to be a little tuck spot. And this one is going to be that, but, and I do want that a little frayed. Not as much, but a little bit. I just like that. I don't like it perfect. Because it's not the look I'm going for. I want it to look like it's been around a little while, you know. So, and I'm probably going to ink that too. I think I want it a little bit darker. So I kind of do that a little bit. Okay, do the other one. And you know, this is the kind of stuff that's just kind of personal preference, but you can see how I do things in putting the journal together as I'm decorating. Okay. Alright, so now I don't want to just do that. I want to do more than that. So let's see. I thought I had some of that. Okay, yeah, I do. Here we go. Let's see if that's long enough. Yeah, it could probably be. Just do it to about right here, right? Maybe. How wide do I want this? So get this here, go here, or maybe here. So I'm going to tear this because this stuff is really, as I said, really old, so it does tear very well. So I'm going to put that there, and this is just for looks. I'm going to put that there, and then I probably am going to put something here. What is this piece? Would that look good? I actually would like a little wider one. Let me see if I have another piece that is the size that I want. Let me see. I think I have some over here. Go look real quick. Yeah, I do. I do. I have another piece right here. I mean, this stuff is really beat up, so it just, but I love it. It was so funny because I saw this and it was really, gosh, very cheap. And it was like $18.90 something or other ticking, but it was all messed up. It had holes in it and stuff like that. The same with, I have some quilts that I bought like that. And you know, people are like, oh, well, it's messed up. It's very vintage or antique. But, you know, it's messed up. Well, for what we do, that's perfect. Because we're going to tear it up anyway. Right? Okay, I like that. Perfect. Okay. You know, I want it kind of shabby. Alright, so I am going to glue these pieces together, and then I'm going to sew around them before I glue them on, and it's going to look like it's sewed in. And that's kind of what I do whenever I do a journal like this, is I do stuff like that so it looks like it's sewed in. That's coming off, so I make sure I get that on there. So I am going to go ahead and do that. So I will just glue this down, and I do let your glue dry whenever you do that, because it will mess up your sewing machine. I'm sure my sewing machine is going to quit working on me. My little sewing machine that I had that I loved so much that I bought secondhand, which I paid too much for it now that I find that you can buy them for almost the same price. I knocked it off my table and it quit working, so I don't know. It may be a goner. I may have to get another one. I actually paid more for my little one than I did for my full-size sewing machine, but I like it because when we have gone in our RV and stuff, it's just a little tiny sewing machine, and it doesn't take up a lot of room. And I also keep it close to my desk, and I actually found I use it a lot because I can just pick it up and put it on my desk and take it off. And yes, I know it's crooked, but I want it that way. I do not want it perfect. Okay, there we go. So I'm going to let that dry. I'm going to put this one on. So, and I am sewing for no other reason than the look, okay, because I'm going to be gluing these onto the journal. So the sewing is only to make it look sewn and for the texture and the look, and that's it. It has no real purpose, okay? But that is kind of how I do it when I do a journal like this. Is I will put pockets and all that kind of stuff on, and I will sew the pockets and then glue them on, and it looks sewn on, but it's not, okay? And the big reason too is that this glue is going to hold just as good as any sewing, so I'm not worried about that. I'm doing it simply for looks, okay? And that's what most of the sewing that you do in a junk journal is anyway. It's for looks. It is not really you know, for any other purpose than that, okay? So I am going to let that dry and sew around it, and I will put that on here, and that will be my side pocket, and then that will be here. Now that I've sewn around these, I'm just going to glue this on, and it will work it'll look just the same as if I were to have sewn it on there. As I said, my glue needs to come down. Here we go. Alright, and I'm just going to go around the pocket, and this glue is going to hold it, and it will look just great. And that is, keep that in my little jar so it goes down. So this will just go right here, right where I want it. Okay, and that is how I'm going to put my pocket on. And it looks like it's sewn on, but it's not. Alright, and then here, let's do the back one. This is just going to be a little tuck spot. I'm going to put it right there. So I'm just going to go around 3 sides of it. And I put a generous amount of glue, but this glue is very strong and it will hold, so I'm not worried about that. Get a little spreader thing, that'll help. I'm trying to remember to use this and not my finger so much. because then my fingers get so gooky I can't do anything. So I'm just going to put that on. You know, you probably want to spend some time and hold it there, but just for our sake, I'm going to go ahead and kind of go pretty quick. Let me get my wipe and get the extra glue off of there so it doesn't glue my journal shut. Okay, and I'll probably just put a clip on that just to make it. My other big clips were. Here we go. Okay, and then we've got this up front, so alright, so that is gluing down. So anyway, that is our not finished journal, but our journal cover, and just some ways to put it together that I think make it easier for a beginner journal maker. So I'm probably going to finish it up on my own. I don't know that I'm going to do any more with it with you. I may go ahead and do that. If I don't get the journal done tomorrow, I may just do some tags and things like that with you guys. So I'm not sure yet. It just depends on how my day goes. So, but in the meantime, I just wanted to show people, you know, how easy it is to do a one signature journal, have it look really, really good, and not, you know, it's not super, super hard to do. It's really easy. So try it. This type of journal is very forgiving. Okay, to me it's a lot easier than doing a hard cover, because, you know, it's squishy, it moves around, it doesn't have to be perfect. So just try that and it'll work out, and I hope to see you guys soon. And as I said, I don't know for sure whether I'm going to come back and decorate with you guys, or I'm going to just do it all and then do a flip through. I don't know yet. It just really depends on what I have going on. Okay, so you take care, and then we'll see you again next time. Not sure when that'll be, but we'll see ya.